back to the Carbon Cardboard Podcast covering the Formula One sports card hobby.
We're back.
We're back. It's been a while. We are going to talk the Hungarian Grand Prix because that was quite a long time ago, Scott. And the pickup.
Yeah, are we talking 2025, 2024 Hungary? It's been so long. I honestly don't even remember.
We're going to recap an epic F1 trade night at the National.
A lot of fun.
Still
feels
jealous.
like an eternity ago.
That I
3
missed.
weeks
It's
ago
been
now, almost.
It's been an eternity since we've had a podcast like this.
It's
We
true.
were definitely on summer break too. And finally, our most popular segment going at this point, because quite honestly, Scott, it's the only segment going for us right at this point.
We still have Grid Gainers, taking a little break from Grid Gainers, but
this or that, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, rookie card edition.
Ooh, this is gonna be a fun one to get into.
We have not, like, we just got the tiles from.
I've got some opinions. Okay.
Oh, I figured you would, but F1 Ben just sent those over to us a little bit ago, so we haven't yet discussed it, and that's the best part of this podcast is one take, no outtakes. Everybody knows the rules.
Doing it live.
Just yeah, this is live, no editing. All right, let's just get into it, Scott. Just because it's been a while.
Lights out and away we go.
Lights out and away we go. Lights out and away we go to Fire and Ice cards, Scott.
Yeah, so this was impressive. So $100 break credit giveaway for the Hungarian Grand Prix goes to Fire and Ice cards. Big one for Fire and Ice cards. 54 points. Now I will say the Hungary average score 46.3, so pretty high. People did well in general. I think there was actually a few 54s, but had the closest once again on pole position prediction. So Fire and Ice, $100 in break credit. I think I already messaged him and he said that he's like, yeah, I'm waiting for 2025. I was like, all right, cool.
So, aren't we all? Aren't we all?
Right? There's gonna be some fun stuff though coming out soon. I'm not gonna talk about it yet, but a couple podcasts from now we'll talk about it. Maybe next week. All right, so let's do a quick recap here through 14 races. And guys, the cumulative leaderboard matters through 20 races. That means there's only 6 left. We're getting down to it. Adam Hareen retakes sole position in first, 608. Branham Jim and C Dent tied for second in 607. Fire and Ice with a really good score up to fourth, 606. Spyro collects in fifth. Dead Brick cards in sixth. G Myers and the Iceman F1 tied in seventh. Lando Calrissian and B Cornell cards tied in ninth at 600, along with F1 Ben. Almost missed him. Sorry, Ben. 12th, Putty F1, 599. 13th, EC87 GTI at 598. In 14th, Max McDowell 6. Justin Incident cards just sneaking in here at 15th at 593. And Jameson, I always say this wrong. Jameson Olive, there we go. 592 in 16th. I think there are some folks that are tied with him at 592, and there's a lot of folks at 591, 590. There's I think 12 people between 590 and 592. And that's the crazy part because the top 16 are the ones that make it into the bracket for the last 4 races to win $1,000 in break credit. So that's going to be really exciting. Looking forward to it. Go ahead.
Just a quick shout out to AJ Hammer Time Hits. Unfortunately, AJ, the incident report was published before this podcast. I know you were eagerly waiting. Both had not been done in a long time. So unfortunately, Chris, you win, we lose.
Well, I will say huge shout out to Hammer Time Hits because he's been dabbling. AJ been dabbling in ripping some 2020 Chrome, goated product.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
The best.
And he hit for none other than Dave's cards, the man, the myth,
the legend,
absolute legend, a gold wave autograph of George Russell.
Wow.
Pretty good. I think it was the first time Dave ever bought in with him too. So not too shabby. Love to see it. All right. Up next, how the community voted. So again, this was the matchups, right? So this is where we can kind of just think back to the Hungarian Grand Prix. So of course, Lando Norris won. He beat Alexander Albon. 100% of folks took Lando. Oscar, who came in second, 99% of the community took him over Carlos Sainz. Max Verstappen, only 95% took him over Hadjar, but he did get the dub. Yuki Tsunoda, 91% took him over Colapinto. George Russell, 100% took him over Behrman. Kimi Antonelli, only 9% of votes went to Kimi Antonelli, and he beat Lewis Hamilton, which 91% of folks were betting on. Charles Leclerc, the other Ferrari driver, got it done. 100% of folks took him over Gasly. Fernando Alonso, 64%, beat Gabriel Bortoleto. Although Bortoleto had a fantastic weekend, honestly. 36% voted for him, but he didn't get it done. But Alonso and honestly, in general, Aston Martin just crushed it this whole weekend. They went from like the worst team in the previous race to, oh my God, they're like best of the rest. So crazy. And in that, Lance Stroll, 44% community,
Finally gets a win.
doubted him.
Finally gets a win.
He finally gets a win. I think his second of the year. Takes the win over Esteban Ocon. Two everybody's favorite, right? Lance Stroll, Esteban Ocon. Tough to choose one there. You love them both so much. And then Liam Lawson got it done over Nico Hulkenberg. 52% of the folks chose him. So that brings us to the driver's standings after 14 races. And the reason this matters is because the driver's standings, these are actually going to dictate who people match up against in the bracket, right? So I'm excited for this. We're going to have a side-by-side bracket of the drivers and the folks that are in the running for the brake credit. Because I think this will make it exciting. Right now, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri are out in front by miles, and McLaren is way ahead. But in the driver's standings, Max is number one. So you never know. It could all come down to Abu Dhabi. Max is in first, 13-1. Lando second, 12-2. Oscar third, 11-3. Leclerc fourth, 10-4. Then we've got a couple, Albon and Russell both 9-5. Hadjar and Yuki both 8-6. Hamilton, Hulkenberg both 7-7. And then we've got a few people at 6-8. Sainz, Gasly, and Lawson all 6-8. Bortoleto, Behrman, Ocon, and Antonelli at 5-9. Antonelli really needed that win. And then Alonso all alone at 4-10. And then Janko Kalapuan and Lance Stroll knotted at 2-12. Unreal.
Unreal indeed.
Unreal. We've got some cool ones coming up. Obviously, there's no race this weekend, but we're having another race in the Netherlands. Is the next race 15. So we'll have some interesting matchups. You'll see those pop up towards the beginning of next week, and we can get into it. It's going to be exciting after summer break. It feels like there's been no racing in 5 years. When you go through a summer break, it's tough.
All right. I need to hear all about trade night, Scott. I was not at the National. Speaking of AJ with Hammer Time hits, highly recommended. Everybody else, do not use Q3 Cards travel agent because there's a non-existent travel agent. Imagine this, Scott. If you wait till like the last second to try to book a flight and get a hotel to go to one of the biggest destinations in the country on that given weekend, you're not going to find squat. Like literally, nothing.
No, it is tough, and there was not a lot available anywhere. People were actually like flipping hotels.
Like
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. It was interesting because so it's been like 3 weeks since the National and Trade Night. It was a lot of fun. I mean, obviously seeing everybody was amazing. So many people from the community. On the actual show floor, there wasn't much. There wasn't really much. A collector, Kevin, had a ton of 2024 Dynasty. And then Leahi was really one of the only like F1 kind of centric places set up. So it's kind of like us at Fanatics Fest. You're just hanging out around their booth talking F1 and everything. But trade night, there was a ton of F1. So this was absolutely our biggest showing ever. We had over 300 people on the screen now. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see these were the contents of the giveaways, goodie bags. We gave goodie bags to everyone that came through. Or I think it might have been the first 200 that came through. So you got some Golden Pulls, little stickers and stuff. Turbo Attacks. You either got like a tin or a hanger or exclusive pack. You got some people got 2023 Chrome packs. Somebody hit a true gold Oscar rookie card portrait from their 2023 Chrome
Wow.
pack that we supplied. And then we also gave away Paddock Pass blasters. Someone hit a Valtteri Bottas 1-of-1 relic out of a Paddock Pass blaster. Tons of stickers, slab mags, or slab. I always forget. Slab Strong. There's Slab Strong bumpers for your slabs. Tons of stickers, like I said, pens, badges. The badges are so cool. Hold on, I got to grab one. So I should have had this ready. I should have had this ready to go already. But here we go.
This makes good radio and TV.
The badge. Yep.
The
So you
badge.
can't see it if you're listening, but we gave away actual badges that say 2025 attendee, and you've got all the sponsors on the back and the hosts and everything. So really cool. We're going to be making these every year. So they're going to become like collectible. You're going to have them from 2025, 2026, etc. with all different colors and everything. We'll figure it out. But so really cool. Tons of giveaways. We gave away over $5,000 worth of stuff. Over 300 people attended our biggest showing ever. I mean, it was a lot of fun. You can go to the next slide too. I think this will have, yeah. So this was me at our table. So it's basically like a mini card show for F1, you know, and tons of people selling, buying, trading. We bought, I think, over $80,000 in cards. We were cashing people out left and right. I bought, now I got to get up again.
We'll play in this next episode.
This is awesome radio. But and you're going to have to bring me up again because this is big time. My biggest card I've ever bought, absolute grail for me. Shout out to Chris, Sweet Pea. 2020 Sebastian Vettel Dynasty Jumbo nameplate patch.
Wow.
The biggest card in my collection. Maybe that or the orange Max Auto. So yeah. We've got a pretty big Sebastian Vettel collection at this point. So that was really fun picking up that card. We also delivered a massive grail. Racing Chronos picked up the Leclerc PSA 10 flag patch. So that was really cool, dropping that one off. Tons of trades. We sold a bunch of cards, bought a bunch of cards. And it was also great just like meeting so many people. Like, of course, a lot of the people were there. They've been there previous years, or we've met at Fanatics Fest or wherever. But, you know, there was a lot of new people there. You know, folks that I've talked to countless times online and everything. They're like, oh, you know, I'm so-and-so. I was like, oh my God, it's nice to finally meet you. You know, because on my side of things, being a breaker, my face out there all the time, like people obviously easily recognize me. But it's just so cool meeting everybody that you deal with, you work with, you hang out with, trade with, chat F1 and F1 cards with on a daily, weekly basis. So really cool to see the community come together. Excited for what we're going to do next year. And then I think the last picture on here, again, just shout out to Golden Poles and Leahi for co-hosting with me. Not pictured here, and it's a travesty, is the Queen of the Castle. And Erica, the Queen of the Castle, my wife, was an absolute champion. Ask anybody there, ask anybody in this picture. She did so much work for this event. Literally, this event would not have happened without my wife. So really huge shout out to the Queen of the Castle. Erica, thank you so much. I love you and appreciate everything you do for the business and for this event. So thank you so much. Also, I got to give another shout out to AJ, to all the affiliates in general. All the affiliates helped and were willing to help. Caitlin ran my table for a while. She was ripping people off. No, I'm just kidding. But she was at my table, kind of running the table for a bit. AJ did as well. AJ helped out a lot. You know, AJ's local-ish to the area, about an hour drive away, I think. But he was so helpful, literally, with so many different things, getting the goodie bags ready, bringing things up, down from our hotel room down to the event space. So thanks so much, AJ. Really do appreciate it. And to all the affiliates, it was awesome hanging out with you guys. Rated Rips, of course. seeing Ferg and Mick. Spent a lot of time with them, so a lot of fun. Some good memories too from the casino. The Mensch playing a little roulette there at the end of the night. We saw someone win like 90 grand. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, overall, really good. F1 cards are very scarce on the national floor, and it's an amazing environment at F1 Trade Night. So it's the juxtaposition is interesting. We'll have to see kind of how things proceed over the next year or two, because it's going to be in Chicago, the next 2 years again. A lot of the other hotels, not only like we reached out, guys, remember we kept this close to the vest and released the location very late. And the reason we did this is because we talked to 10 plus other hotels and venues before we landed on the Westin, and all of them said that we either needed written consent from the national or a contract from the national, all this kind of stuff, or they wouldn't do it. And a lot of those hotels had signs in their lobbies that said no trade night / card, like trade activity or whatever. And like, if people were just sitting there in the lobby, like at the desk with their cards out, they were getting told by staff, like, you can't do that here. You have to put your cards away. And come on. I mean, that doesn't happen without some other force putting pressure on them. Obviously, the National does trade nights now, 3 nights of trade nights, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. They're definitely trying to make everything kind of their thing, and they want everyone to go there. It's understandable. They're bringing a ton of people in for the actual show itself, so they're not huge fans of like events that are kind of, in their eyes, piggybacking off them and holding it in a similar location. So I get it. We're going to see. I've been contacted by some guys from the National, so we're going to see what happens for next year. But for right now, the plan is to kind of do our own thing. We'll see if that changes, and we'll let everyone know. But we're definitely going to be doing trade night again next year. Really excited for it, and the National is always awesome. Hopefully, the National itself has a better F1 presence. But yeah, love doing trade night. And Brian, hopefully we see you there next year.
Yeah, I'll get a better travel agent. Either that, I'll just get Hammer Time Hits to be my agent.
There you go.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Well, I guess it's not completely shocking to hear that there wasn't a lot of F1 cards on the show floor. I mean, this is probably a topic for another day, Scott, but just across all sports right now in sports cards, we're seeing not necessarily the same boom that we saw in 2021, but the super rare cards, across sports with like Lionel Messi and just a lot of stuff that is like super rare. You're seeing stuff go for 4, 5x what it typically is. So I'm really interested to see if that really continues to bleed over into the F1 space, with obviously 2020 being the main benefactor of that, with a lot of the super rare stuff, the one of ones, the less than 5, the reds.
Yeah. Look at red refractors is a perfect example of that, Brian. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Red refractors, I'd say over the last year, 12 months, have 3 to 4x. So who knows? Gold could be next. Gold refractors 2020.
True gold. I know you mentioned it on a recent stream. That's another topic for another day. The true, the colors that are common to any manufacturer, any set, reds, golds, like those are always going to be in demand. Look at this. We're making content for ourselves.
Look at that. 101s.
Yeah, just hit on a stream tonight.
We just hit it. Artem Markelov, 101 Super Auto, baby. Here it is. Boom. The man, the myth, the absolute legend, just like Dave.
I don't know.
Sweet Pea hit it. Congrats, Chris.
Congratulations, Sweet Pea. The golden discs, they just hit different.
When I saw that, I was like, oh my God. It's been a while since I pulled a 2020 Chrome Super, so it's just, oh, dude, I was so excited. And then I saw Auto, and I was like, oh, it's probably not going to be great, but still cool. Really cool card. Probably worth over $1,000, to be honest.
All right, Scott. Yes, we will take it. All right, it's time for this or that.
This or that. See, there's our jingle.
that we do need a jingle. We need like AI to.
Something.
We'll get.
We need
we'll
like
get
a 10-second jingle.
5. It just needs to
4,
say it.
3. What do we got?
All right. This is what we got. This or that. McLaren Driver Edition, Scott. Rookie cards.
That's right.
Lando
right.
Norris, 2020 Topps Chrome rookie. Oscar Piastri, 2023 Topps Chrome Sapphire rookie. I think we're going to look at both the Sapphire and the base Chrome cards here, but just overall, Scott, set the stage for us here.
I mean, listen. To set the stage for this, you got to understand that 2020 is the first ever Topps licensed Formula One cards. Okay. 2023 is the 4th year printing. However, Oscar Piastri is the hottest thing in Formula One right now. Like, yeah, Lewis cards and Max cards still outsell Oscar, but Oscar is the hottest thing. If you look at like volume, and now granted, it's going to be skewed. You have to look at probably like 2023 and 2024 years only. If you looked at volume of those 2 years, which driver is just most transactions are happening, right? It's absolutely Oscar. The most people want to sell Oscar, want to buy Oscar, want to hold Oscar. Like Oscar is just the hottest thing of the moment. Now, Max and Lewis, if you looked at all years of all cards, they probably have more volume. Lando probably has more volume just because they have 2020, 2021, 2022 cards as well. So there's just so many more of them out there. But if you whittled it down to 23, 24, Oscar is the hottest without a doubt. It's a rookie card, just like Lando. We're looking at Sapphire base and I think Chrome base, PSA 10 specifically. And we'll get into the pop reports here. But at the end of the day, they're both rookie card portraits. They're beautiful cards. They're really good to have for like, your kind of cheapest entry level, but PSA 10. So you got staying power. I think what it really comes down to is, do you believe in Oscar that much more than Lando that a 2023 card outgains a 2020 card in the long term? Now, I think once we, get pop report and stuff up on the screen, the story may change a little bit, but that's kind of like the framing for this, right? It's Oscar, it's Lando. They're both rookie cards. What do you think, Brian? Where are your thoughts on this?
So earlier today, had a visit here at Q3 headquarters from friend of the
Oscar.
show. Yeah, Oscar was here. No, friend of the show, Christopher James Letty, prior co-host of the Cards Formula with us.
Right.
And it's funny because I was showing him. I actually had a couple Oscar cards in my piece that I actually had sent to Tag recently, and we were kind of looking at those. And then we just got on the topic of the like hype versus substance versus like known commodity. And it's funny because like Oscar and Lando kind of came up that we were talking about it, because if you take this to a different sport, you've got, quarterbacks are king in football cards. And, Patrick Mahomes right now, Tom Brady, like sure things, have Super Bowl wins. There's like quarterbacks, like, no disrespect, because I know like Emin Purple is I think he's a Vikings fan. Like JJ McCarthy right now.
Yes.
Like rookie cards are like outselling like Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes cards. And that makes like 0 sense. And a very long story short here is that, Scott, I feel like as card collectors, and I feel like we've talked about this before, people want to be part of like the moment that somebody ascends to the top. And there's some value in that, like with Max Verstappen. When 2020 cards came out, Max was in the title fight with Lewis, his first championship, like that was kind of a little baked in, but then that was exciting to be part of it. And I think this, Scott, right here is the now title fight. And my tinfoil hat on for a second. I think this is being slightly manufactured, but that's just because I'm a jaded Oscar fan at this point for television. But yeah, I think it does matter a lot that people want to be involved in this. And I think aside from 2020 set being like the GOAT, like we've talked about, the OG, it does kind of matter that it doesn't, I guess it doesn't matter as much about that Oscars rookie cards are several years later, because you're talking about a rookie card versus a rookie card at that point.
Yep. Okay. So let's bring up the next slide. Let's bring up the next slide, because the next slide we actually get into some of the stats. Okay, so here's Chrome, right? We talked about Sapphire and Chrome, of course. Let's look at the pop. So we've got these numbers on here, and I will admit I was very surprised by these numbers. So walk us through the pops for these 4 cards. Again, we have Lando, Sapphire, and Chrome PSA 10 rookie card portraits, and then Oscar, Sapphire, Chrome rookie card portraits PSA 10s. What do we got for pops here, Brian?
So for the Sapphire, we're at a pop 580 right now for Gem Mint 10s PSA.
For Lando?
For Lando.
Okay.
And Lando's base portrait, non-refractor, there's 594 Gem Mint 10s of Lando Norris's portrait.
I'm actually
card number
surprised
7.
how close Sapphire and Chrome are. I thought there'd be way more Chrome. But yeah, 580 Sapphire, 594 Chrome for Lando. Interesting. Okay.
To be honest, I'm surprised that there's been that many base cards submitted that actually got 10s, because I'll be honest, and people will send in base cards to get graded often, just because of the rarity of the set. Very often, Scott, they're not 10 candidates, like right out of the pack. Surface scratches or just something that's really going to prevent that. You flip to Oscar, and obviously doesn't have the benefit of, being 4 years later. This set just came out last year. 2023 Sapphire, card number 40, his portrait, only 59 Gem Mint 10s. And that's actually recently bumped up by some cards that just went through P1 Castle grading. His Oscar being his base cards in Topps Chrome, card number 40, 160 Gem Mint 10s.
Big disparity there.
Big disparity. I think a lot of it too is like there's several more years of people sending in Lando cards, but I would also say, Scott, that I feel like at times it's actually harder to gem a 2023 card over a 2020 base card. Now, obviously, as we've documented before, when you get to the serial cards and, you've got the little half moon peel on either side, indentations, you didn't really have to worry about centering as much on 2020 because there's no borders on it. It's the only way you can tell that a 2020 card is really off center is if the silhouette around the driver is like off, and that's how you kind of tell that it's off center. With 2023, Scott, like you've got the border goes around the entire card, and now with PSA being a little bit more tough on centering, you used to potentially be able to get by with a 60-40 front, which that means that if you were to take a centering tool over it, that you want to make sure that left to right, top to bottom, the ratio is equivalent to that. You've now got to be at 55-45, and you basically if you look at a card and if it looks off center to you, it won't be a Gem Mint 10. So you kind of get into the fractional, like maybe close enough, so that could have an impact. But maybe even card design, Scott, could be one of the reasons why this pop is a lot lower.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think card design is very important, right? To your point, centering for 2020, you almost never got points taken off for that. So, yeah, you're going to see less gems in general. Now, granted, a ton of people have been grading Oscar recently. I'm sure these pops are going to double, if not triple, over the next 2 to 3 years. Whereas Lando, I don't think will, because so many of the Lando cards will have already been submitted. More will, but you're not going to see this pop double or triple. I don't think that Oscar's pop will ever be higher on Sapphire. On Chrome, it might. On Chrome, maybe. Give it another 3 years or so. Chrome pop may surpass Lando. Sapphire, it doesn't look like there's any chance that it's ever going to. But I guess you never know. So seeing all these pops, knowing what you know about 2020, and then knowing what you know or what you believe about these two drivers. Again, right now, Sapphire to Sapphire, Oscar versus Lando, these cards are selling very similar, almost identical pricing, like basically just a little bit over 200. And then Chrome and Chrome is like 125-ish in that range. I think an Oscar just did 140 like last night. But in general, they're very similarly priced. Like where, not financial advice, where would you prefer to put your money? If someone handed you, they're like, hey, I'll give you, an Oscar Sapphire or a Lando Sapphire, or an Oscar Chrome or a Lando Chrome, like what are you going to take for free? What do you take?
It's tough.
Remember, I know. I mean, Brian, you always say where does the flow chart start, Brian? Your famous flow chart.
Well, this one doesn't involve helmets, so I guess if I was to use just aesthetic here, I would simply state that I feel like I like the race suit for 2023 McLaren team versus the
Your flow chart always says 2020, though.
It does.
It always begins with
like
2020. It doesn't begin with racing suit. It begins with 2020.
But I'm trying to make the case for Oscar. Like I'm a believer in him. I guess I'm leaning more towards Oscar. I think it's just at the end of the day, I feel like he'll find a way to get it done at the end of the season, and people are going to want a winner. But the other reason why I'm stating that is what we're talking about, the rarity in the pop reports. So, for example, I have sent to PSA over the last month or two as many Oscars that I believed would gem, and the ones that wouldn't, either due to centering, a bent corner, just everything else. I probably sent in maybe less than 10% of all the Oscar cards that I looked at. And I saw a lot.
I bet.
And I was pretty picky about it, but I like to think that after several years of doing this a lot, I know what PSA is looking for. Now, you're gonna get a token 9 sometimes, just because like human nature is gonna be like, well, this one isn't quite as good as the other one, so maybe this isn't quite a 10. But in general, success rate is pretty high, and knowing that I was that picky up front, I don't see this pop jumping. I don't think. Okay, let me say this. I don't think this pop is ever going to be more than Lando's.
I agree. At least for Sapphire, for sure. Chrome, I don't know. We'll see. But Sapphire, 100% agree. I mean, it's just like it would have to 10x. And it's not like people aren't going to send in any more Lando cards. So I definitely agree with you there. So you okay. I feel like you're taking the Oscar cards because you think Oscar's going to win the championship this year, right?
I do, and I think it's just enough to outweigh a 2020 card.
So let me ask you this. If Lando wins the championship this year, what card would you rather have?
Well, at that point, that changes it, because then he has the edge, and then the 2020 set has the edge over.
Okay, so you wouldn't want to have the Oscar for like long term, maybe Oscar.
Oh, long term, yes,
years.
but like that's the thing that's really tricky about this, Scott, is because I feel like whatever the outcome of this is going forward, I don't necessarily think that any of those drivers are going to see an uptick. I think you might actually start to see a stark decrease of that, especially with like new regulations coming in next season.
Yeah.
Like
Big
again,
change.
like I don't think if either, let me put it this way, like again, where people want to be part of like feeling like in the moment, like they're part of this championship, like buying in afterwards, I don't think it's going to have the same sway. And neither driver at this point has the pedigree of a Sebastian Vettel, a Lewis Hamilton, a Max Verstappen at this point. It's still a single championship. And if you go through the history of Formula One, there's a lot of single champions that never return there too. That in hindsight, when you look at them, you're like, a driver like Mika Hakkinen, 2 championships, and like he's not that collectible at this point.
Yeah, I mean, legends I think are a little bit different, but I definitely I get your point, and I think this is tough, right? I feel like I'm legends chat is always gonna shred me because they think I'm a Lando lifer, even an Oscar hater, even though I like them both. But I think
Well, let me put it to this way to you,
go
Scott.
ahead.
Like,
Sure.
so set aside if you were to then invest in Lando and he doesn't win it this season, and this may be his one best chance to do it, and then he never does it, is it always going to be the what could it have been? Would then Lando potential, and this is no disrespect to the Honey Badger, but like would that mean like Lando Norris is like the next Daniel Ricciardo?
I mean, maybe. I think like if either of these drivers don't win, I'd rather have the 2020 card, right? Like if you're, I think the safe play is Lando. Like right now, championship is 8 points, right? Oscar's ahead by
Mhm.
8 points. I think the safer play is the Lando because then even if he loses,
You still have a
it's a
2020 card.
2020 card, rookie PSA 10 portrait of a good driver. You know, he might not be a world champion if he doesn't get it done this year and doesn't get another shot, but he's still a solid driver. Rookie card 2020 set. It will be okay. But if Oscar doesn't win and then he never gets another chance, that card won't have that it's 2020 to fall back on. And like you can say, well, Oscar is the best, driver we've seen in forever. He could win 10. And like, sure. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sure. If you think that Oscar's gonna win 10 championships, then like take the Oscar card, please.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I don't agree with you. I think he might win some. I think it's tough to win a lot of championships. We haven't seen many drivers do it, and the regulations I think change so frequently now compared to back in the 70s and 80s that like you're just not going to see a time. Although I mean, I guess you look at Mercedes 2014 to 2021, they were pretty good. I just don't think I think F1 cares more now about things being close, that they're going to do whatever they can to not allow a team to be completely dominant. So I doubt that either of these drivers are going to win, 4, 5, or 6. Who knows? I do agree that Oscar has improved at a faster rate. Like Lando's been in since 2019. This is Lando's 6th year or 7th. 2019, 20,
Mhm.
21, 22, 23, 24, 25. 7th season. This is wow, that's crazy. That this is Lando's 7th season. He hasn't won a championship yet, right? So it's got to be, right car, right time. But 7 seasons, only Oscar's 3rd. I mean, maybe he is getting better at a better rate and he has the higher ceiling. And if given the opportunity, he's going to get it done. But if this is the only year and he doesn't, then I really worry about those 23 rookie cards compared to like where they're at now and long-term future. So I think, listen, so much of this conversation and this decision hangs on who do you think is going to win the
It's
championship
it's a
this year?
personal it's a personal
Yeah.
preference, and who do you want to be more vested in
Yep.
as part of as we enter these, final 3 months of the season. I will say, I'm gonna protect the innocent here. I won't name a name, but somebody that I talked to recently who is a huge McLaren fan, and there's a lot of them out there, that it's a he, had said that is taking the
Really whittles it
opportunity.
down.
It does, but I mean, there's plenty of
There
female
are.
fans.
There are.
Has said that actually is cashing out high on Oscar to reinvest in Lewis. 2020 Lewis.
There you go.
That's not a bad play either. I know that's not on any of the slides here, and that's cheating, but
It is.
it's
10 points
also
for
a very
both of them.
bad time to buy either driver because their market's red hot. So you really, as a long
Well, I
time
don't know
McLaren,
about Lando's market being that. I think Lando's market was hotter earlier in the season. I think his market's actually cooled off quite a bit. And Oscar, because I don't get it. And it's in the media, it's everywhere. Everybody thinks that Oscar is like absolutely dominating this season and it's over and everything. And it's like, bro, guys, it's 8 points between them after 14 races. We have 10 races left. A lot can happen. So I don't think it's baked one way or another. All right. Final decision. What are you taking? Sapphire portrait of Oscar or sapphire portrait of Lando? PSA 10.
I gotta go with Oscar.
Okay. Same question, Chrome.
So with Chrome, I think that's really. I think it's still gonna be. I think it's still gonna be Oscar.
Okay.
What
Brian,
about you?
all in on Oscar. So Chrome, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri. I'm taking Lando. I would rather have the Lando. The card has a longer history of being at the value it's at than the Oscar does. So I like the history, the longevity of the card. I love the fact that it's 2020. So, and I think there's less risk with the card. So I'm taking the Chrome. Actually, though, for Sapphire, I am going to go over to Oscar, and this is because of the pop. So again, let me remind you guys, the pop on Lando's PSA 10 Sapphire base portrait, 580. On Oscar's, it's 59. That, to me, is significant enough of a gap that I'm actually going to take the Oscar card, because then I think the rarity of the card and grade combination outweighs the fact that it's just 2020. So I'm, kind of a little bit on both sides of the fence, but like in this specific scenario, if you're giving me the Sapphire cards, I'm taking the Oscar. If you're giving me the Chrome, I'm taking the Lando. So everybody will hate me and everybody will like me, but probably everybody will hate me. So that's what I'm doing.
They're gonna be afraid of how much they love you. It's like that's a Michael Scott reference from The Office.
Oh yeah, love me some.
Yeah, I gotta keep. I feel like I'm beating the dead horse here, talking about the rarity, but like you're spot on, because the certs that PSA starts with, like the 6s, because that's about right when 2020 Topps Chrome and Sapphire had come out. They were so not lackadaisical, but like they were very generous with some grades in those 6 certs. Like in hindsight,
do you think that extends to base though,
it
or
does
more like
100%.
Okay.
I'm actually, if I'm looking at buying a 2020 Sapphire base card, whether it's the portrait or the base SP, the IV, whatever you want to call it, I will actually look at the scan, Scott, and look at the back and determine, like, do I feel like it's a true, in my opinion, 10 or not? Because more often than not, you'll actually see like a whitened corner or a couple other things that I wouldn't, it sounds weird that I don't actually view it as like a true PSA 10. And don't even get me started on that like garbage,
card,
like
not the jet.
well, that garbage like black diamond little sticker that guy sticks on.
Oh, the gold dime, the NBA. Yeah,
I could do that. Like it's just
yeah. We should talk about that sometime.
I'll put a little P1 Castle sticker on each one of them that verify it's Q3 cards verified of a true PSA 10 or not. But I don't know. That being said, the way that PSA is grading now, and I've heard some unverified rumors about some things that they're doing now that I feel even more strongly that they're going to be more strict going forward.
Yeah, I could see that, right? I think I'd rather have a more recent slab too, just even on the centering change alone. But yeah, you're right, especially with 2020. Okay.
I'm gonna cut out that soundbite. You're right. I love it. It does not happen often.
No, it's a good one. I mean, this was a fun debate. I think, listen, it doesn't always have to be about $1,000 cards and stuff, right? I
Exactly.
think
And
this one is
there's no
interesting.
real right answer on this. So
Oh,
like we
there
have
is. No, it's mine.
well, I'm sure. But anyways, like we have in prior episodes of doing this or that, in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube stuff. But tell us which one you would prefer out of these
Yeah.
4 cards and why.
Well, Sapphire versus Sapphire and Chrome versus Chrome. But I agree, right? I think most people are going to take Oscar right now, but I don't know. I think you will find that if people have a vested interest in either Lando or Oscar, they're obviously going to choose that driver. People that don't care about them either, they're not McLaren fans or something, I think more people are going to skew to the 2020 just because it's 2020. But I'm excited and interested to see what the people have to say. So let us know in the comments. Let us know how wrong I am. And yeah, looking forward to reading that. I know I'm kind of, like I said, little kind of on both sides of the fence there, but I do think the pop report matters. And that's why I'm going with Oscar on Sapphire and Lando on Chrome.
Fair point. Fair point. All right, people, let us know. All right, Scott, as we wrap up a long overdue episode here, what have you got coming up in the P1 Castle?
Sure. So coming up, actually, big stream, huge stream, Sunday night on Whatnot. We're doing a bunch of 2020 Sapphire and Chrome. We're gonna do some dollar starts on stuff, and then we'll have some more singles. Might have some more paddock packs, and stay tuned. Early next week, big announcement. Big announcement next week.
It's a big announcement.
Really
I don't even know what it is, so it's a really big announcement.
Nope. Been working on it for a while. Really excited.
That is what we call in the business is a tease.
Indeed.
Very eager to see what that is. So, all right, my friend, it's been about a few weeks. It's good to catch up and talk about the cat like we do here, and we'll have to do this again sometime. It's been 64 episodes so far. We got to keep this train rolling.
Might as well do a 65th, right? Yeah, no, it'll be fun to get together next week. Of course, next week we'll have the new matches for Pick'em for the Netherlands. So we'll talk through that, talk about the race itself, what we think's going on, and yeah, maybe another this or that, or we can argue nonsensically, talk for a while, yap. We love yapping here.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's bring this one home.
All right, everybody. It's been a while, but between now and our next episode in 7 months, collect your cardboard and keep it carbon.